I know what you're telling yourself. Wait a minute, Ralph. Wait a minute. Weren't you just on? Well, of course we were just on, but we have more geekery to get to. And of course, I want to bring you as much geekery as I can because I love to go geeky, and the Shadow does too. Shadow.
You know it, man.
So, bro, it's been like ages since I hear and talk to you. How you been doing?
Man, this life is but a dream. I'm okay, man. Yeah, in the 10 minutes between this, I was able to eat at least half of my now cold ramen and get a drink, and I'm ready to talk some more comic
it was
books,
nice to have like a little break between the shows, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think we should do this more often.
Yeah, like a halftime show.
That's exactly what it was. And of course, let's get to our guests. We have Dimitrios and Jay from Blackbox Comics.
What's up?
What's up, gentlemen?
Howdy.
How'd you guys recover from the show?
Oh my God! I felt like it was ages since the last show. I don't know how I'm ever going to recover.
Luckily, we're talking about things that are very energizing. So.
Oh my God! Yeah, we just got energized by the other show, so we want to talk more geek stuff. And Dimitrios, let's start with you. Talk to us about Blackbox Comics, what it is, what you have, and I know that when I was there at Terrificon, you had an incredible set of books and even a Chuck O'Neill thing, that was going on there, right?
We have I think a Chuck Dixon book. You mean?
There you go, Chuck Dixon.
Chuck Dixon.
I'm mixing my classics.
We had a book by Kevin Graveau, who's the creator of Underworld and I Frankenstein. That was the book Cyclist on the table. We had Biggs and Tiny, which was an action comedy with superpowers. There was an article written about it by Sci-Fi. And then we had Devil's Dominion, which was in the top 10 CBR's list. Shino Kaie came out, which is a great samurai fantasy story. We just did the trade on Kickstarter. And Djinn Hunter that just came out, which was listed as #1 on CBR's most anticipated.
I can see why. The art is amazing. It looks beautiful. And from what I've been hearing in the backstage area, the writing seems to be very well put together.
Yeah, well, that goes to Jay. Jay's the writer on the book. He's done a fantastic job on that.
Well, I think I'm the one, giving the good press for it. I just have a lot of alts.
So, you started off Blackbox. What was your goal to starting it off? It looks like you're got all these good books going. Tell us what made you decide to start the company. Where are you going with this?
I just had my first idea, and I was thinking of running with a single title. And as I was working on it and working on volume 2, I decided, I'm like, I have all these other ideas. Why put it through another publisher and instead just do it myself, have my own deadlines, have the control. Obviously, you own 100% of whatever you're doing. And you get to pick and choose a lot of things, who your art team is and how you want to work and how you want to do things differently than any other publisher. So I thought that was important to me. So the first book we launched was IT, and that was in 2017. And then I ran volume 2 of that the following year. And then after that, it was Militia and Cyclist in 1 year. So I started like picking up the pace after a little bit, getting comfortable with what goes on and how the process works, and just getting experience under my belt. And the last couple of years, we just pumped out more books. And I probably have like another 10 right now on the slate waiting to go. So there's a lot going on. Me and Jay are actually working on more than just this book. So I'm sure sometime soon we'll try to announce that.
What?
I think you just surprised Jay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not going beyond that, Jay.
I didn't know we were dropping those hot announcements here. Yeah. But,
hey man, anything you want to drop, you heard it here first.
You can drop anything while it's hot here. So
yeah, I got a little bit of the book. This is issue 2.
Yeah, put you up. Hold on.
Yeah,
They
that's
just got it in.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Yep.
Wow. So there you go. We're dropping the fact that is issue 2, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, check out one of these pages.
Hold on.
I love this page.
Ooh, nice page to pick.
Yep.
All right. So
yes.
tell us about Djinn Hunter, Jay. Where's this coming from? What's going on? And, give us the nitty gritty.
Well, the nitty gritty, you kind of drop into the story in issue 1 with meeting Zara, the Mage Hound, who is a Djinn, and she is a hunter. So that's really more or less what the title describes. It's not that creative of a title. She's Zara, and she's a Djinn, and she's a hunter. She does hunt evil Djinn, and she can hunt other things as well. She describes her jobs as, hunting down things that go bump in the night that are, don't play by the rules, because the high fantasy world of Djinn Hunter, the colorful, vibrant creations of Fabrizio Cosentino, it's about a world of structure and order in a multiverse of realms that is sort of overseen by this elder council of Jinn. And these elders, before the story began, had imprisoned Zara and stripped her of her powers, her duties, and, put her in a bottle, kind of like how you meet Barbara Eden in the first episode of I Dream of Jeannie.
Right.
Yeah, before she meets Major Healy. And issue 1 is why they let her out. There's that they need her. They need her for what she knows. She knows where to find the sorceress known as Samira, who is kind of an unseen character for most of this first volume, which is going to consist of 5 individual issues, around 20 to 22 pages apiece. So we'll call it a 100-page volume. That'll be available as a trade at the end of, I guess, at the end of this individual floppy release run.
Right.
So we've just put out 2. You're going to be at the halfway point next, but Zara basically has to traverse these realms with her Phoenix sidekick / parole officer Bennu, her attache, who's been attached from the council to send her through the realms, and basically locate and capture these rogue Djinn who are just granting wishes with impunity for these mortals who don't exactly know what they're doing. They're getting tricked into making wishes.
Tricking wishes sounds like right down the Djinn alley.
Well, you've obviously heard "Be careful what you wish for."
Exactly.
The platitude. Our tagline is something a little different, and it's a kind of a line that I like to repeat throughout the issues, almost like it's a bit of a rhyming line of poetry. When it shows up again, you recognize it. But the recurring theme is, for every wish, there's a price.
Right. That is true. For every wish, there is a price. And I'm happy that stays with this, especially, the whole Djinn mythology of it. And again, like I was saying in the green room, I like the fact that it is a good Djinn hunting the bad Djinn, because, I do have my like of Djinns. That's why I loved when you were talking about Barbara Eden and the rest of this stuff. And I like the fact that, you have that concept of good and bad for the Djinns as well.
For the Djinn, especially there's tiers, there's a system, there's levels of power. And for the elders, it's really less about good and evil. It's more of an Eastern Hinduism type idea of balance and
makes sense.
Keeping it's less than good and evil. It's more about a balance of powers, and that's why the elders are all represented by various elements, and you get to actually meet those guys on some people criticized 2-page spreads in comics, and I think they have their place. especially when they occur on even numbered pages.
Mm.
But this is
that makes sense.
Well, this is the first time I think that I did a 2-page spread on the second page of a comic. Just, you turn on the first page and she's inside. I'm not really spoiling anything, but she's inside the bottle on page 1.
Ooh.
You get the sense of the tight, cramped corners and what looks like a dungeon. And then you realize at the end of that page, she's let out of the bottle. You turn the page and you see a scope. It's a full scope of these elders represented by the various elements you'd expect: fire, water, wind, earth. We threw in a couple of extra. We chose the number based on Hinduism and the religion of how many different elements there were, and the numbers and the codes, and played a little bit with those elements to make them more visually appealing. Like using metalwork and spirit. But there is noticeably one elder Djinn absent from the beginning, and he is the elder of basically the nether world, the element of the beyond, the dead.
Right.
That's why he's called Abyss. And our tagline, I think we discussed for this volume, at least when the trade comes out, is really about the hunt for Abyss and trying to bring the council back into balance because of the vacuum he left by pulling out and going rogue.
I really like that you've actually thought this stuff through. I like the fact that you're looking at your Djinn mythology. You're basing it on stuff that actually makes sense for the Djinn universe itself. It doesn't feel like you go, well, we're gonna put them over here because I just want them over here. It feels to me like you actually sat there and said, well, this makes sense. Let's go down the line. Let's take the mythology. Let's take the section of the world they're in, and let's put it all together into a cohesive, great story. And that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, so there's some of Hinduism with the various elements and the balance and the realms, but where do Djinn, what role do they play in Islam?
Right.
In Islam, in the Quran, we learn the creation story is that Allah made man of dirt and mud, clay, and a Djinn was made in fire.
Right.
So Djinns with a soul of fire is actually very important to Zara, and who she is. Her role for the council is called, she serves as the Mage Hound. And, hounds hunt. Hashtag. Can we get a shirt, Dimitrios? Would that work, man? Can we get a hounds hunt t-shirt?
We'll work on it.
Let's work on that. So yeah, that as the Mage Hound, she's not the most powerful. She can't lay a finger on the elders. She's got to use kind of her wits and her experience, knowing these types of magical creatures and knowing how to find rogue Djinn.
Right.
Because you can definitely see the results of these wishes. You saw some in the page that he flashed. If you want to throw that up again, that page on yeah, that's a cool cover. There's the soul. Yeah, there's the soul of fire.
Beautiful. Wow.
I think that was our original issue 1 cover until we. But what was the story behind that cover again? It was going to be. At one point, that was going to be the issue 1 main cover, and now it's. I know we're using it somewhere.
As the issue 2 variant, we used it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's interesting. So it went from issue 1 to issue 2 variant. Any particular reason? It's an amazing cover.
It is. We just wanted to try something else and see what else our artist was going to come up with, and what he did. We just liked it better than this, and they're both great.
Okay,
I just like the other one a little better for the first issue.
I agree with you. I've seen both covers, and I agree with you.
Do you typically run several variants for your comics? Or?
For issue 1, I usually do for every issue of the 5-issue series, I usually do like an incentive retailer variant, and then for issue 1, I try to have web exclusives. But I don't do web exclusives for every single issue, though. Just overkill, I think, in my
opinion. Yeah, no, it's just curious.
Makes sense. Yeah, we don't want to go back to the 90s. At least now, it's funny. We were just talking about this in the prior show. At least now the writing, and I can see it works, is with this too here. You have the great art for the variant covers, but the writing backs it up now. And you don't mind, getting, hey, I love this book. I like the story. Let's get a variant cover of it too.
Right. Well, the story has to work and has to be great. And Jay did a fantastic job, and I already knew who I wanted to do the art. So when Jay wrote it, I'm like, what a perfect match to bring those two together to get this book done. There's not really much more I could honestly ask for. I think the book is like perfect to me.
I agree. I feel like the writing and the art, the art gives it that nice mystical look. It has that fantasy feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it gets even better as every issue goes. You'll see some pages or splash pages that are done that gives him more of an opportunity to show his skill set. And I think Jay, as he was writing and saw his art, I think he allowed himself to challenge Fabrizio even more to show his skill set. So I think you really enjoy the art that's going to be coming.
It sounds good. It sounds like a great combination. Again, I love the concept of Djinn Hunter.
It is. It's great.
Well, let me ask you, Shadow and Squirrel, whatever your name is, if you could have a wish granted, your deepest desire, what would it be? Don't think too hard either.
Go ahead, Shadow.
I don't want nothing.
I mean, then I guess the Djinn are going to be kind of bored with you and move on to the next person because they, you admit the Djinn. It's about watching and manipulating from behind the scenes to take a stray thought, a stray word, and take it to. If you're an evil Djinn, I mean, it's to a level of horror, and that's where some of the horror aspects come in the book. That sometimes there can be some humor, there can be some camp in it. I don't believe anything has to be really serious all the time.
All the time, you're right.
But I do like a good mix. But in the very first issue, you're going to find a wish that went very wrong from a noble daimyo, samurai lord type guy.
Interesting.
Who really wanted nothing more than to protect his own realm.
That can get you in trouble by itself, and it's funny that you say that because I recently posted up a post going, most people go, if Ralph had superpowers, he'd be a great superhero, and I always say the same thing. If I had superpowers, the world would be in trouble.
What superpower would you wish for?
Oh, if I had superpowers, it'd probably be something along the lines of increasing my intelligence and wisdom, which would cause me some major trouble.
Yeah, I could see that if you made that wish to Abyss for ultimate knowledge, Abyss would probably tell you that ultimately all mortals will ever know is suffering and death, and then turn you to dust.
That sounds about right.
Well, and that's part of the rules for these. I don't want to even say world because Djinn Hunter is a series of worlds or realms that Zara and Bennu can visit, and the magic and the way that it's shown through Fabrizio's art, especially the portals. They portal from Earth or realm to realm. But yeah, they have rules in place that Djinn can't kill mortals, that Djinn can't technically do anything they don't ask for. There just happens to be a lot of wiggle room and a lot of the asks from mortals. Like yourself, who would want to be like you imagine being a King Solomon type from your wish, and you may just turn into like that really annoying guy at a party who's always having to say, "Well, actually."
Well, actually, that sounds like us now, nerd geeky people.
So
Well,
maybe
I'm gonna tell you what I think about this Star Wars movie.
yeah. See, you might have met a Djinn already, and you're already dealing with the consequences of that wish. But that is part of the story. We say most mortals never even know they've met a Djinn, if
That
not
makes
for the
sense.
fact that our Djinn are going so nuts. Like you saw, I don't know if D can flash that full page spread up again of the samurai lords. The shrine, the bloody shrine page. That was a really short description, or I guess I should
think
say
that
page.
was in page one, issue one. You're talking
Was
about
that page?
the last pages in issue one. The stairs?
No, I'm talking about the one when you held up issue 2 and you opened it up. You were showing there was the
That one,
flashback.
yeah.
So that's a flashback to a result of a wish. No, not too fast. Not too fast. If you want to, that one's been shown, hasn't it? That one's been exposed, I think. But that one is the result of a wish, and the guy wishes, I want to protect the realms, so make me an unstoppable blade master. Well, he did just that,
Ooh.
but you'll see what unstoppable blade master means to a room full of peaceful monks. And it was really cool to write the script and just kind of give a few lines to say there's a whole room full of carnage that we can look at. And, things like that you're going to get through issues 2, 3, and 4 to an extent, and a little bit in 5. But then it really becomes about, fighting the big bad and getting the tools you need to beat them, because we've really we established from the beginning that our hero is not strong enough to beat this elder Djinn. She does not have the power to stop her.
Right. Which makes sense because we always have to quest for the power.
All she has is her one true love, and that's Samira the sorceress, who was originally her target. She was told to hunt down this sorceress who had serious power, even power over Djinn. And because of their fear that she would throw the realms out of balance, they told Zara to hunt her down.
Right.
Instead, Zara fell in love with her, and that didn't turn out well, as you'll find out as the issues go on each month.
So there's other beings of mystical power throughout this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we show them, we talk about them.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah, you'll see dragons, you'll see zombies, you will see just some straight up like Cronenberg type Djinn. You know what I'm talking about with the Cronenbergs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can see a lot of this kind of teased on Blackbox's Instagram, which the Instagram for Blackbox is lit. If people are not following that, they need to be.
Right.
Shamelessly plug away, please.
Instagram.
Yeah, I've probably been the most active on Instagram lately. I think we're like at 28,000 followers or something like that.
Nice.
Mazel tov.
I mean, I could do a few more, so I mean, you guys could follow me too on Instagram, because I'm not an OnlyFans model. I was about it, but when they said nothing explicit, I was like, well, hey, what's on there?
Hey man, whatever helps get the comics done right,
Exactly.
Sometimes
Sometimes you got to do things to make the comics come out.
But please shout out your Instagram now, so people can get it.
Price. Yeah, follow me at @Sandlin_ on Twitter, Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook the same way if you must.
If you must.
Look, I'm not. I keep it linked to my Instagram, and I have a business page, and that's really the only reason I have it.
That is too funny. I like when he says, if you must.
You must.
All right. Now that I'm working over here behind the scenes, I can actually pop this up in a second. There we go. Boom. And there we are.
Like 2 pictures. And this post here, if you are someone who enjoyed reading Djinn Hunter or any of my other releases, I'm releasing comics all year with Blackbox, and before Djinn Hunter, I was releasing comics with Zenoscope's quarterly releases of supersized issues. There's all kinds of experiences to read comics, whether you get them digitally or read trades or monthly floppies like Djinn Hunter's going to be. Whatever you choose to do or however you choose to read it, I want to know what you think. And if you tell me what you think, I know I'm gonna let you know I appreciate it, as long as you're not a jerk to people who. And I'm not saying you have to like what we do. If you have issues with it, I'm happy to hear criticism too. But if you're going to be rude to artists and, tell people like, oh, well, go back to working in fast food, you definitely don't belong in comics. I'm probably not going to spread that negativity because there's enough of that online.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I would,
unfortunate.
on Djinn Hunter, any other releases I'm having this year as well, please let me know, tag me, and I want to hear what you have to think.
Have you guys checked out issue 1 yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to get it. So I saw that you sent me the link, and I was like, okay, I gotta get this, but I've been kind of busy for the past couple of days, so I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and go, all right, let's order this. Let's make sure it comes in, because I have to make sure that I'm here when it comes in, so things don't happen to it.
Where's the best place to purchase it? Through?
I mean, I think your LCS would be the best place. I mean, if your LCS doesn't provide it, then you can always order it from blackboxcomics.net.
Which is what you told me.
Right. I mean, but I always try to encourage people to go to the shops. I prefer that, we support them, and they're big for the community. They're important. So, again, just support your LCS.
All right. So let me ask you this: which stores in New York are your books in?
We don't know, because when you distribute through Diamond, you don't get that.
Oh, that's right. I forget about Diamond. Yeah, you don't know where it's going.
All right. Do you have FOC?
There's plenty. What do you mean? Through Diamond?
You guys on that? Yeah. Are you guys on FOC?
It should be, yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
See, that's good to know, guys. They're through Diamond, so make sure that your comic store, this is where we can get this now. Make sure that your comic store orders the book. That way you can get your Djinn Hunter book at your comic store. And then, it's so much easier for you. You can actually go to the comic store, see the book on the shelves, and pick it up, which is what we comic geeks like to do anyway. So do yourself a favor and make sure that your comic book store gets your Djinn Hunter.
That is very true. Make your wish. Treat your local comic vendor like they're your Djinn, and make a wish. And if you are someone who doesn't have a comic shop near you, or maybe doesn't have, if you're not healthy enough to go right now and they can't mail it, I know many shops are mailing, but with digital releases, there's digitals available. I know that Comixology is uploading the book, and we're kind of at their mercy there, but that should be up soon. Did you hear any more about that, D?
No, but I know issue 2 and I believe 3 was just uploaded also. So, again, those will come out when the books come out in stores roughly, but issue 1 should be out, I don't know, I'm going to guess in the next week or 2.
So digital is an option to read.
Something to look for.
Are digital copies available on blackbox.net too?
I haven't done that yet. Not yet.
Okay. So
maybe in the future.
Show up.
That is a good partnership. It looks like Jay keeps you on your toes, Dimitrios.
He's constantly involved. I mean, you'll see his social media. He's constantly pushing the book, and he does that with all of his books. So he does a great job at bringing awareness to what he's doing.
I can tell he actually, you did a great job, and it's funny because you might tell me, well, Rob, of course I'm supposed to know what my book's about and whatnot, but doing this, you start to hear people's elevator pitch. There you go. And sometimes, you're surprised at how they sell themselves.
I can't speak for that, but it must be my OnlyFans experience that sell myself on that.
Giving the people what they want.
As near as I can tell, if I don't talk about the things I put out, then who is, right?
Exactly.
And maybe as time goes on, I won't have to say as much, but I've not been releasing comics for very long. I got to release my first comic in December of 2019, actually. And that was with Mad Cave Studios, amazing publisher who I'm still so happy.
Oh, no, Mac. Yeah, I know them.
I'm still so happy to be working with. Well, yeah, my first comic was Over the Ropes, Mad Cave's pro wrestling series set in the 90s that we released 5 issues over the course of 2020, really. And there was a big pause when the comics industry just stopped in 2020.
True.
Same thing had happened in when my second Mad Cave series that year, which ran not long after, ironically. It was Hellfighter Quinn, the Mortal Kombat superhero powered type fighting tournament, which if you love Djinn, and those kind of action adventure stuff, I think you'd also really love Hellfighter Quinn. And the artist Adigan Alon and Maria Santinola, both amazing inker and colorist who have worked on some great projects, put together Hellfighter Quinn. But the sad thing about it was it came out the first week of March 2020. And I went to Nashville, Tennessee, to a wonderful shop called Rick's Comic Shop, where I've gotten to know some people. And it's in a good driving distance for me. And everyone was kind of walking around the shop. It was an elephant in the room that there's this really bad thing called COVID, and it might become a big deal. And I was, with my friend, I actually had lunch in the same shopping center after we finished the signings. We were very hungry. It had been a long morning up to the afternoon, and we're in a crowded restaurant and just talking about, man, I wonder if this is going to be like, the last signing we get to do because of this happening for a while. And sure enough, I think it was the next month that they paused new comic releases from like 2020 April through May, June, July. It was at least July and August, right? I know it all runs together now.
Yeah, it all runs together. It's hard to remember. It's funny what you're saying, because I remember that moment you're talking about where you had heard about this coronavirus thing, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, this thing is coming. Is this thing that bad? Is it?" You start having all these questions, and it wasn't that long. It was like 2 weeks later where everything just shut down and went, and it's so surreal to think about it now.
Yes, it's been surreal to me ever since that day, really, when we had the signing for Hellfighter Quinn 1, and it was a wonderful signing. People were finding the book, finding Mad Cave. There were, finding Over the Ropes as well, my previous book, and Blackbox was stocked in that shop as well, because they're a great shop, and they know they're, good publishers. And I had been telling them that I was working with Blackbox, in the future, and we talked about doing more things. And I had hoped that with Djinn Hunter's release, it might be time to get back to, like you guys mentioned, going to Terrificon and making. I've been vaccinated fully since April, and now I live in Alabama, where the vaccination rates are the worst in the country, and there is a serious apathy for people who, like you say, early on, the real question they have is, how does this affect me? Does it affect me? If it doesn't, I'm not going to inconvenience myself or change a thing I'm doing. That apathy is where evil takes root through selfish. I say all that because that's the root of Djinn lore.
I like how you mixed that back in there. Yeah.
Well, it's very much what I was thinking about while we worked. So those months where the comic industry was paused, Fabrizio, myself, and our script editor, Senna AL, who's going to be doing some more work with another Black Box book. We worked on the fine-tuning of the story, the rules of the world, and more than anything, I think the strength of Djinn Hunter is the relationships between, I guess, the trinity of the trinity of main characters. Zara the Mage Hound, her her bird sidekick, who comes across as kind of silly, but has some of the most wisdom filled lines. We give him some of the best lines to, be the voice of reason, and this colorful phoenix bird. And then the final piece, when they get back together, you've seen the cover advertised for issue 4, is when she does find the sorceress. And that's the piece of her that she is really afraid to face again, to face that part of her past, because she made a selfish decision and she thought, what's in it for me? Not so much what are the long-term consequences for others. And it's not an evil thing to do. It's not an evil thing always to be selfish.
No,
it's not.
Sometimes you need to be, yeah.
But it is back to the tagline that kind of sums up the whole story. You talk about elevator pitch. So if we were going to put it all in the one sentence, I put it in the book. I sprinkle it like the salt to give it the flavor that for every wish, there is a price.
Yes. And that's always been the case, especially when it comes to talking to djinns. You got to make sure you say what you mean and mean what you say.
Or maybe you should just shut up.
That is true.
That's kind of the meaning of most of the wishes you're going to see in Djinn Hunter as the months go on in issue 2, 3, even all the way up through issue 5, from the first, the beginning to the end of the book. It is what is the price of this wish? What is, whether I meant to make it or whether it was with deliberation, what do I give up to get the thing that I want? And if there is a great gain, there must be a great cost.
Exactly.
Right.
Just the way it is. It's never nothing for nothing.
Well, it's
something for nothing.
Equivalent exchange.
Or in Djinn Hunter is all about. That's why the Elder Council exists, to keep balance in these realms. And if there is no balance, that D, you're gonna have to stop me before I pull a Tom Holland spoiler, okay, man?
Now go ahead, man.
So far, so good. It doesn't sound like you've spoiled anything. You've actually got people to want to go and get this book. I know I want to buy it. I already wanted to pick it up before this. Yeah. Now you guys have sealed the deal, and I'm going to have to pick this up, whether it is in my comic store or buying it through your website.
Epic fail, bro. Epic fail. I got to hear what you think of this. Whether it's Twitter or
who's your local comic shop?
I tend to hit a bunch of them, but I usually hit names always escape me. Royal Collectibles. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, Royal has the book for sure.
Okay, there you go. Now that was easy to find out. We all know the guys at Royal. They're fantastic. So
awesome. Royal is fantastic. They do a good job running that shop, and they're very big supporters of Black Box. So I appreciate them. They always carry our books.
All right, cool. That's good to know, because that means I'll just do my trek all the way over there and make sure to get it.
Yeah, you'll be in good hands, man.
Yeah, and as long as we're shouting out, I mentioned Rick's Comics, and then a little closer to me, where I keep my own box, my pull box, is the Deep Comics and Games in Huntsville, Alabama, which is a 2-story. I don't know how many. What is it? 10,000 square feet. Gaming spot, collectibles, models, and just a haven. It's probably what I would call the comics mega church. And I've missed making my visits. I've missed making the stops in. They have been so wonderful with me with mail-in orders and my attempts to keep, I guess, stop the spread. Is I don't really shop in-store retail unless I have to, and if I have to, I will obviously wear a mask. But yeah, the Deep has been great to help me get my comics by mail or whatever makes me feel comfortable. They carried Blackbox before I had even heard of Blackbox.
Nice.
They've carried Blackbox. Rockin' Robbie over there, his show, if you've not checked it out, the Pop Culture Philosophers and his weekly comics roundup videos where they did talk about Djinn Hunter. He's getting thousands of views every week on YouTube, and
yeah, it's doing good.
I am thrilled for him with that. I hope to get shout out to Robbie. I'm going to send you a care package very soon.
That's good, man. It sounds like Blackbox is really having a renaissance moment. You know, you're beginning to show up in multiple places. You know, your word is getting out there. These are key things, you know, when the company's doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we put out more titles recently. We got some great writers like Jay and another buddy, Brian. Brian's amazing. Brian Hawkins. He's on Devil's Dominion. And because they're both so great, I decided to work on more titles with them. So, like I said, you'll see some more titles. Probably both 2022. I would say they would come out. So I have one in early 2022 that's going to be by Brian, and then we'll see how quickly we can get out the other book by Jay. And you know, great writers, great guys. So you know, it's just the better for Blackbox, right? We put out better stuff.
Well, I need to interrupt, but I'm just saying we'll get it out when it's ready, and you know, it's going to look great when it's there, and it's all about. I am someone who I want what I want when I want it, and I want it now. And want to work in some capacity in comics, whether it's writing them, inking them, coloring them, lettering them, or maybe you want to even make a pub like D. That's great. I'm going to say go for it and learn wherever you can. There are so many resources, but you've got to know that patience is part of it.
Yes.
And that's how I find myself more often.
I completely agree with you there. You know, if you're going to be into the comic book business, you need to have lots of patience. People think that you think of a comic book and it happens. It's funny that they think that way because, you know, we all know that it's usually you think of a comic book, then you start working on the comic book, then about a year later, if you're lucky, the comic book happens. Well, especially when it comes to like independence.
I told a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of people involved.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone works really hard to put out the top-notch books that they're putting out, you know.
What I said to you Monday on the phone, I was looking through some of my original files from when we began Djinn Hunter, and the what D had sent me is like a very, I guess it was a half page of a premise for working title was just straight up Genie. Like, we don't really know what we're going to do yet.
Yeah, I mean, typically I don't like having the title,
but no, the point
of having a script done. I like the script to help me figure out what the title's going to be.
Let's talk about the title in a second. But what I wanted to say though is that I was looking back at that and I saw at the top the date for it was my birthday in 2019, which is September 25th. And that's, I mean, I'm not really thinking about it, but that's where we're coming into next month. I still have to do some stuff to finish August out, so I can't think of that right now. But that's been kind of blowing my mind all week when I look back and notice that when we got the original, I guess
That's cool. So I'm gonna hold on to these issue 2s and send it to you around that date, so I don't have to buy you anything.
Perfect birthday present. You're right.
Yeah, it's about as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not someone who thinks a lot about presents and gifts. I did have one. You know what? Actually, this year, this is going to be my 35th birthday.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a good.
Happy birthday, sir.
That is a very good birthday.
Good age. And there was actually one special thing I did want. It was. We'll have to find out. Maybe you'll bring me back on after my birthday, and we'll discover if I got it. If I decide to put the camera on at that time, but it was actually a very nice one. It was a custom superhero ring in the style of Green Lantern's ring with a Blackest Night.
Nice.
That sounds nice. You know, I've always wanted myself a Green Lantern's ring, one that actually glows, you know, green, because, you know, what the heck? Why be normal?
So you mean like on an LED?
I'll figure out something for you, Ralph. Don't worry about it, man.
Well, I have actually got, and I wear this Legion of Superheroes ring to most of the interviews, streams. You know, if I have it around, I usually like to put it on the Legion flight ring. And
the Legion flight ring.
I bought it at the last one of the last cons I went to before 2020. It was at a booth of 3D printers who printed off things like that, rings, and they had designs, and
they can print you out anything pretty much.
Yeah, they sure can. But when it came time for, you know, birthday, like, man, I think I would like to have this particular Green Lantern ring, because I love Green Lantern because of his willpower puts into the world what he imagined. So
brightest day and darkest night.
Green Lantern is a comic book hero whose power is most like creating comic books.
It's all willpower.
Yep, willpower.
Creativity.
And it's his creativity and that idea of there's some magic behind it. I mean, it's a sci-fi comic, but there is definitely a mystic element to the power of the Green Lantern Corps, and it's actually something I don't want to hijack any Black Box talk. D, is it okay if I drop some of my other releases from this year?
Go ahead.
Looking for my other releases that I've had this year, I mentioned Over the Ropes.
And that's all he's got. So now let's get back to Black Box.
It's like, man, you're not messing around. You had it taken out like that.
Yeah, but I've also working with Zenith late last year. I've released, they've been doing comics, if you noticed, a bit different. They swapped to a form of supersized issues that are released quarterly. So whatever the title is, you get one large issue, and there's something every 3 months you can get a standalone series. If you're getting a standalone, you're getting 54 page 70. So it's basically
Jay, I think we're having a little issue with you because you're coming in and out. Your connection seems to be a little off. I thought it might come back if I let you alone, but
sorry.
There we go.
Stick to Black Box, and my people will let you continue talking.
Yeah, I guess you wish for only Black Box
talk. Name.
All right. Well, the short story is I've released some comics with Zenoscope this year, so go check those out.
Horror comics. It's funny. Yeah. I really think it's funny that as long as you were talking about that, we couldn't hear you. But as soon as you were like, okay, just, okay. And now we can hear you.
I tell you, it's the Black Box gremlins who got in my system.
our hacker group.
Man, you don't want the last thing on that black box to be talking about Xenoscope. You know what I mean? If I dig
Xenoscope
that
is
up
good
out of the
company.
ocean.
You know. All right,
Xenoscope and I have had a wonderful relationship. They let me release. What I was saying was their model has changed to supersized issues, and
okay.
if you pick up an individual title, a standalone title, you're going to get 64 to 72 pages of comics.
Wow.
Of a comic story, I mean to say, typically put together by 3 art teams working simultaneously on the one script with the editor, and we are passing pages back and forth trying to make sure they all fit. It's a comics marathon, and it is a lot of fun, but fast paced, and you got to learn if you want to speak up on something. If you don't speak up when you see it, there may not be another chance. That's another for all I say about the patience that it takes to make comics. Speaking up quickly and in a timely manner if you notice something is probably the more time sensitive note, because you will probably not get a chance later if you have an issue with something. And sometimes if you don't say it at the time, D could probably attest, is you might just have it would be like ship sailed at this point. We're kind of down the road on this way.
Right.
Patience doesn't mean you're not willing to strike when you got to. So
Yeah, you got to strike when the iron's hot.
situational awareness, man.
You gotta get your thoughts out there, because if you don't get them, especially as a writer, if you don't get your thoughts together and out there, you're gonna lose whatever it is you're working on. It may not be gone completely, but it's gonna be gone at that level of magic that you have at that moment.
While that being said, be open to the ideas that are going to be coming to you from the other teams. The collaboration is really where more magic happens. And with Zenoscope, in April, I released, I'm sorry, it was February. February, I released the Tales of Terror Quarterly, H.H. Holmes, they called it a true crime horror. I felt it was more of like a supernatural horror, flashback present day, about the actual serial killer H.H. Holmes.
Okay.
And then a copycat killer showing up in the present and trying to find the answers between the copycat and then the scenes in the past with the actual H.H. Holmes and how they all came together. We had an artist who did the past and another artist who did the present. And that was really cool to see them made side by side and then colored and put next to each other to see how well they flowed. Then after that, there was another, it was a 64-page comic in April called Neverland. It was Neverland Annual. And that was diving into Zenoscope's, I think it's been about 10 years now that they've had a Neverland as one of the ongoing series that they keep in their Grimm universe, where it's not like what D is doing with Blackbox, and this is worth mentioning. Blackbox Comics, at this point, each title is its own independent world, right, D?
For now, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is for now. That's how Mad Cave Studios is, and that's how a lot of independent titles who want to work with individual writers and creators to maybe give them some more free reign to do what they want, find it much easier to do. Zenoscope has been a shared universe like Marvel and DC, where the worlds, or, they kind of do the realm thing like Djinn Hunter, but their different realms take place in other titles.
Right.
They cross and come together. And it turned out to be, I had a release with Zenoscope and Blackbox the same. If it wasn't the same day, it was definitely the same month, depending on when the shops got Djinn Hunter. But most recently, if you look for my last release with Zenoscope, is a crossover between two of their established series characters. It's Zodiac versus Death Force, the two anti-heroes of the Grimm universe, colliding in a battle that awesome reviewer Gabe Hernandez of Comical Opinions said is 72 pages of nonstop action that doesn't pause and doesn't meander.
Sounds really good.
Go check it out.
Zenescope does some good stuff. So,
hey man, I'm confident that anything you're working on is gonna get the fans excited. Zenescope or Blackbox or wherever you have your work out, especially Blackbox, of course. But yeah.
No, I've got a lot more to do with all these companies. I love getting to try different styles and different stories. And with Zenescope, it's a challenge to work with editors and staying within a shared universe's framework. It's something I catch on to pretty quick because I've always been such a big Marvel fan, and Spider-Man since the 4th grade, the Amazing Spider-Man and the related titles have been kind of my jam, and finding the connections. You could say the same with me and Star Wars, and reading what's now, been rebranded as the Legends comics and novels, and the new continuity that they launched and how all that fits together. That would be, a blast to play in sometime. But I will have more with Zenescope before the end of the year. I have written 6 short comics that are going to be put together in one volume, 72 pages. It is the Tales of Terror Halloween special, and it's going to be the 6 short stories taking place on the same night, Halloween, at a haunted theme park called Nightmare Land.
Sounds like blast.
So that you can look for that around Halloween when we'll be putting out. I don't know if that'll be. Let's see, October will be issue 4 of Djinn Hunter, I guess, because we had 2 here in August. So September, I'm going to have my birthday month with issue 3 of Djinn Hunter, and then 4, then 5, and
issue 4 is in October.
Issue 4 is in October. Okay.
Issue 4 is in October, yeah. So we'll have issue 4 of Djinn Hunter the same month. Have the Halloween special, and keep your ears open for February from me. I've got a very different type of release with Mad Cave Studios' new young adult imprint. I wrote the teenage European football soccer to us Americans 200-page graphic novel with Patrick Mulholland, Rebecca Nalty on colors, and my man Justin Birch, letterer extraordinaire. We're putting out World Class in February for your young adult readers looking for stories about, kind of like inspiring sports underdogs, bullying, and a slice of high school life.
Right.
Justin Birch is on Devil's Dominion. I don't know if you know that, Jay.
I 100% know that. And I will say Justin Birch is, without a doubt, one of the best, if not the best, letterers in the business. And you can't say you've released an indie comic if you've not had Justin Birch's name on it. Take it to the bank.
Really, really good. Got issue 5 coming out, too. Probably like in 2 weeks, I think it should be in shops for Devil's Dominion.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, that's a shout out to Brian. I know you already mentioned him, but I got a shout out to Brian as well. Hold that up right there, because Devil's Dominion is it's another type fantasy. I'm going to do Brian's elevator for him here since he's not here. Move it over just a little bit. I've not seen that one yet.
Oh, that is beautiful.
So yeah, Devlin is this she's in a very urban area. Is it Chicago? Is it New York? Something like that.
I think Midwest. I don't think there was an exact location specified. But
yeah,
she travels the country, and she's basically possessed by a demon, hunting down other demons. And she's able to track them. And the reason she got a demon was because she asked for them. It's really been a great ride. I mentioned earlier it was listed as top 10, and sales have been great. The covers have been great. The story's fantastic. And I think people relate to it because it's something that we always talk about, is that we all have demons. You know, that's the famous saying, and
that is true.
That's basically the concept of what I used and worked on with Brian. So I had posted it on, put it on the back where it says we have demons.
We all have demons. That is a great saying, and it's very true.
If I may, D, I think that Devil's Dominion and Brian's great work really exemplifies a lot of the different type of stories you're telling under the Black Box umbrella.
Yeah, there you go. You got some of the covers there.
Yeah, I went to your page. I was like, okay, I think I got some stuff over here.
Oh, nice.
That's a lot of beautiful covers, man.
I mean, so each story is unique. Different artists on every book.
Yeah,
you know?
Each book seems to have like its own unique look.
Right.
Well, plus genres. Just describing in the short form Devil's Dominion, you might think it sounds a bit like Djinn Hunter. They're really nothing alike in terms of genre, as Devil's Dominion is urban fantasy. It is our world, but it says, what if demons were real, and whatever other supernatural characters may show up, but in our world. Right. Djinn Hunter is a high fantasy, which means it's a world or worlds that could not be Earth, that don't take place here. You can have familiar trappings like the daimyo, some castles, architecture, but generally speaking, these are like Middle Earth. Whereas Devlin could be walking down the streets of Chicago. Right. And, which one is scarier? Which one do you like more? Which one do you enjoy more? I enjoy all kinds of genres. It's more about just what do you like to read, what is subjective to your taste, and check out Black Box's catalog because you're probably going to find something.
I agree.
Yep. Thanks.
It looks like you guys cover a lot of bases, a lot of places, and that's good. I feel like a lot of comic book companies recently seem to get stuck in one place.
Right.
Either they do all superheroes or they do all fantasy, or they're about one thing.
Yeah, I mean, the first few titles we did were I would say closer to just being grounded type of material, like IT, where he's like a detective within the banking system. And then the second title released was Militia, so we wanted to do something with a female in the military because very rarely do you see that being represented. And I thought that was a great opportunity, and I just love the idea of her leading the way, being the lead character. And then the third title, Cyclist, again, somewhat grounded, and it's like a psychological thriller. But then we started going into more superpowers with Biggs and Tiny, Project Icarus, and then the fantasy world with Devil's Dominion and Djinn Hunter.
Good job, bro. You're covering a lot of bases here, which is good. It means that you'll have all the different fans covered pretty much.
We're trying to give something for everybody.
And again, that's something that you barely get from one company anymore. Now you got to have like different companies you get your books from.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a different strategy, what they think works for them, depending who their audience is, the market, the location they're in. But for me, I mean, I'm just trying to have literally something for everybody. But I try not to force the issue. I want to make sure that it's something I really like. I really want to make that concept work. I'm not going to do it just because we just don't have it. It's got to be something that's going to strike and it's going to be hot. And I think these books are great. So.
Well, what I wanted to ask you, I know we met you at Terrificon. Is there any plans to do any more of the conventions? I know the conventions they're back, but at the same time, I know Shadow and I are still kind of funny about hitting them, because there's just so much happening.
Yeah, I mean, all of us were masked up when we met, right? So we have a concern, obviously, and we're taking it serious. And I mean, I personally don't have any plans. I did do 2 comic shop signings in the past couple of weeks, right after Terrificon. And those went really well, really well. So I appreciated everybody's support. I did one at Spider's Web, which is out in Yonkers. And the other one was Best Comics out, I think it was New Hyde Park.
Okay.
So yeah, all really nice shops, great owners. But yeah, I don't know if I'm planning to do any more conventions this year yet.
Winter,
we feel you, believe me.
Winter is coming, so everybody stay safe. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wish for a cell phone charger because my battery's about to die. But if I go too close to the outlet, I'm gonna wake some people up in the house. So
don't worry too much about it because we're at the end of our time anyway. So, Jay, just in case we lose you, where can we find you? Where all the nitty gritty stuff that we need to know to find you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, maybe I'll get this in before those crafty black box minions cut me off before hyping anything else. No, I'm just kidding. It was awesome, guys. Let's do it again. And you can find me, Jay Sandlin, at my website, jsandlin.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I promise I don't send too many. And you can get some free stories, offers, and keep up with my podcast, Geekopedia, and all the releases. We've already talked about Djinn Hunter coming monthly, so ask your local comic shop. Then I have got Zodiac versus Death Force is on the shelves right now. I've got the Halloween special 2021 coming from Zenoscope in October. World Class from Maverick Comics is coming in February. And that is all my NDAs allow me to say. So make sure you're on my social media at jsandlin_.
There we go. And Dimitrios. Oh, wow. Damn. Talk about.
I have a book, Kaye, that's out. Issue 1 through 3 came out already in the trade we just did. But that's coming back with a volume 2. And issue 4 is coming in October. And the variant is going to be by David Mack. So that's a nice big cover artist name there. But we have Yannick Paquette and a couple of other big artists doing variants for Shinokaya. And it's a great team, great story. If anybody wants to follow me, really easy to spell, short name, Dimitrios Zaharakis. If that's too hard, just go to Blackbox Comics. You can see my link. You can follow, tag me there, follow me. And the website's blackboxcomics.net, so anybody can place their order there.
That's all the hit points. One question: how did you get Chuck Dixon? That's just bugs me out. It's amazing.
Well, I had started with Scott McDaniel because I used to collect a lot of original art. So that's how I got to know Scott, and then Scott referred Chuck, and that's how I got to work with Chuck. So.
It's so funny, and I brought that up just because this thing is always amazing to me. It's how small our universe is.
Small community, man.
Oh my God, man! And there's times where I tell people all the time, just be careful who you mess up with, because that could be the connection that could have got you somebody else. And that's like the perfect point right there.
I mean, look, I have good relationships with everybody I work with. I never have problems with all the guys. We talk all the time, Jay, I met through Brian. I met Brian through my writer from Biggs and Tiny, which is so it just goes on and on, But you get good referrals, and it's worked out, And
it's funny I bring that up because on the show we love to say that the way this industry should work is we bring each other up. We take each other and we move forward, because it's the best way to go, and it's the best way to get all our creative works out there.
Right. What is the famous line? "Rising tide raises all boats," or whatever, right? So that's how I see it.
It's a good way to see it.
Exactly. So Dimitrios, you have the chance to do your final word. Because you're the only one here now. So what's your final word? What's the last thing you want to leave us with?
I think just support indie comics, support local comic shops. Give indies a try. Try different things, different titles they have. Don't judge them based on one title because that may not be the title for you. And I do see indies on the rise. So like we mentioned earlier, we have several different genres that I think people can enjoy, and they can pick them up from any local comic shop. But I always tell people, like, make sure you reserve it with them just to make sure they order it. And if not, they could just order it from our website.
Exactly. Which is one of the things I like now is the fact that you can get it at your store, or you're going to get it from the comic producers themselves.
Yeah.
And either way is always good.
Yeah, and we have the digital files in Comixology, and that's always an option.
So
I still prefer having the book, the physical copy for myself, but
that's me. I love the physical copy. Everybody keeps trying to make me read these digital things, and I'm like, okay, they're nice, but
there's nothing wrong with it. Look,
exactly, they're nice.
It's convenient. I mean, you could go on the road with your phone and whatever, so you can always read it.
I like to have the physical ones because I like having comic books, but honestly, I read more of it on my phone because I always got my phone on me. I never know when I have a minute to read.
Yep.
So, Shadow, what's your final word?
Wish we could all be kind to each other and to ourselves.
I agree. I do want to say that where is it? Where did I put it? Okay, here it is. This Saturday, make sure you guys hit up Phil's show, which is called. Let's stop sharing this over here. Boom. Let's start sharing this over here. It's so funny. I don't feel like I was this technical until I started doing this. Facebook. There we go. Boom. The Legendary Art Show.
World.
You guys want to hit up this weekend in Long Island, the Legendary Art Show. It is fantastic. If you like a real Comic-Con with a lot of comic books, a lot of writers, a lot of artists, the Legendary Art Show is where you want to go. And if you feel like you're missing some of your signatures to your certain books, this is the place to be, because the people they have on here. Look at this. They got Sean Chen, Keith Williams.
You got some big names coming.
Scott Hanna, Chris Batista, Choi Pham, Chris Ivey, Alex Rivera, Tony Cordos, Ronnie Ramos, Chris Graves, Bill Lutz, Sean Carlson, Steph Wilson, Jeff Brennan, Henry Martinez, Enrique Lopez, Michael. I can go on and on. I'm getting tired. The point is that there are a bunch of people at this show, writers, artists. Go check it out. Support your comic people, because these are the guys creating your comic books. And a lot of people are doing independents. They're doing regular books. Just go have fun. Be like we used to be when we were kids. Enjoy the Comic-Con, because we have books and we love books. So that will be my last word. And there we go. With that, I will do what we have been doing.